Okay, so beginning our day, and first of all, just to welcome Ajahn Amaro. It's nice to have him sitting beside me again. We spent years here, and it's been 2010 since Ajahn Amaro left, and the reality is things move and change and shift, and I think also just this Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Yanko coming back, Ajahn Sek going off, Ajahn Titapanyo coming over, and as the roots start to go down deeper than of our tradition, and different places start to pop up. The Fort Bragg place, a humble place eventually, and of course then our connection with England, European Sangha, and Ajahn Sek going back to Thailand, in connection with Thai Sangha. And I think one of the things is this aspect of, rather than it being looked on as an institution, it's sort of looking on it as a family, where we're trying to keep a familial connection, of warmth and friendship, rather than a bureaucratic institution. And that sense of and I think certainly from the time of the Buddha, the Sangha the Buddha placed tremendous emphasis on Kalyanamitta and Sangha, community. And so that building a sense of community and extending the idea of what community is. And I think Lopa Cha really embodied that spirit. I remember one time going to a very famous Thai meditation master's monastery, and he'd passed away some time before, and the place had still maintained its size to a certain degree. I mean, it was like 400, 500 monks, 400, 500 nuns, but they all lived in apartment buildings, and you're walking down these alleyways of kind of almost like apartment buildings in the monastery, and Ajahn Chah, and I think the Buddha, there was a decentralization, and not just sort of making one place, one person, one way a central feature. I think there's a lot more vitality when there's opportunity for exchange and a certain amount of flow and movement and ebb and flow. So that too, this morning is sort of a time of a coming together, and there'll be separations and comings together. And on a certain level, emotionally, oftentimes we don't want anything to change. We don't want anything to be different than what we've just experienced this previous moment. And of course, that's absolutely impossible. That is a surefire methodology for suffering. It's just learning how to be mindful and present, and recollecting what the duties are of a samana, of a bhikkhu, a Buddhist practitioner. And that it's those principles that you carry those wherever you go. And it's not as if one is sort of wandering all over the world into weird and strange places. It's sort of like Ajahn Amaro's been on a big travel event, but it's all been amongst the kind of monasteries and communities that are associated with us, and it keeps that connection. And this is him being able to come here. It's maintaining a connection with us, and so there's a kind of a familial bond that I think is really quite important to having. Bonds of loving kindness and generosity are really those are the things that really nourish the heart and keep us encouraged in the practice. And so that's a mutual admission and mutual encouragement are things that the Buddha praised. So that just to welcome Ajahn Amaro back here.